Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Sustainable Stace. We're going to talk about helping an ailing tree today. Hope for a tree that's struggling and giving it a little boost that's going to make it come alive, get back at her, and provide the beauty that you'd always hoped it could. Stay tuned.
I'm Stace. For me, healthy food and sustainability are totally connected. You can grow it yourself. Nature is generous.
So here we are, guys, with a tree that 2 years ago I thought was as good as dead, and I'd pretty much given up hope. But what I'm all about is finding hope for what seems to be ailing. And sometimes you will get a tree and it's done and there's no hope for it. But this tree, I thought all hope was gone, and this willow is absolutely gorgeous and lush with life all over it, and its branches are drooping right down to the ground. This willow has a really funny story. I was at my local grocery store, and here's a potted tree for sale for $10. It's in a tiny little 1-gallon pot. And it had gorgeous foliage, and I brought it home and I put it in the ground. It's fairly heavy soil here, and I know willows like moisture, so that would be a good thing, I thought. And it proceeded to pretty much tank right away. We came to spring the next year, and there was little bits of green in a few places, but not enough for me to have hope, and I was quite certain it was dead. Now I want to tell you what I did on this tree, and we're going to touch on a few other trees on our property as well. And all of them had these same terrible features of very little new life, very few leaves in spring, and generally ailing. And I did a few of the same things on every one of them, and every one of them has come back. Number one, I protected the ground around it so that there was no competition. As far as the drip line goes out in any tree, so think of as far out as its branches goes, if it's ailing, I cover the ground with what feels like forest material. Bark chips, leaves, and just heavily mulch it all around to insulate the ground and regulate the temperature. And then above ground, I go through with a pruning shear and I clip off everything that's dead. With compost and foresty material around the bottom and clipping off everything dead that's above, I've been shocked how often life comes back to it. Let me show you another few examples. This is a mountain ash tree. It's also called a rowan tree. It has these beautiful green variegated leaves, and when it gets into summer, it has gorgeous red berries as well. In between, it has white flowers. So green leaves, white flowers, red berries. It's a beautiful tree. 2 years ago, this tree I thought was completely dead. It had no signs of life. It was down to, well, I shouldn't say no signs of life. It had only faint glimmers of life with a few pieces of green foliage in spring. I cut off every single dead branch, and this is critical, I topped it as well. And when you top a tree, you push energy down to the roots, and it kind of recalibrates where it gets its life from, and it starts to push out life to its existing low branches rather than trying to shoot for the stars all the time. So by topping it, trimming off the dead, and as with the willow, putting mulch around the drip line, ba-ba, it's got all these little tiny starts to berries this season, and I think it's going to have a great season. You can actually see the starts of the berries here. This mountain ash is going to have a great future. It's guaranteed going to make it now, and 2 years ago I also thought it was dead. Now on the food side, I want to take and show you a fig tree. This little guy was given to me as a gift by my wife for Christmas, and when I received it, we lived on a different property. It was growing for 2 years there and doing so-so. It was tiny. It was in a 1-gallon or a 4-liter pot. I dug it up. It had grown a little bit. We moved to this place, and I brought it here in this container, and I planted it here, and it was about this tall, like up to my knee or a little shorter than my knee. And it struggled to the point where it had no new shoots, no new buds. Now, if you look at the photo that's there, you can see all the shoots and buds. It's spring, and as with most fig trees, it shows its fruit before it shows its leaves in the spring, which is really unique. And the tips of all the branches have baby figs sprouting on it, and the tree is now taller than me. So again, I cut off the dead, I rooted it deeply, but made sure it was clean around the collar, and all around the drip line, I very generously mulched it. And by suppressing moisture, getting rid of the dead, topping it, giving it a blessing, you can do it, little buddy! All these trees, the weeping willow, the mountain ash, the fig tree, and many others, come back to life from being totally on the ropes, give it a little CPR and some hope and some love, rebound. Now I've got a very productive tree. I'm probably gonna get 40 figs off this tree this season. So good. Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching this episode of Sustainable Stace. I hope it gives you hope for a tree that desperately needs you. Da-da-da, your 911 tree person. If you've been watching this on YouTube, thanks a lot. I want to ask you down there in your bottom right, way down there, to please subscribe. Click the subscribe button and you'll get more of these hopeful, helpful, healthy tips from Sustainable Stace. Thanks for watching. See you next time.